Can you hear yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. Slow intro. I'm gonna introduce all the sponsors and I'll bring you in. Okay. All right, guys. We got a random episode, but not too random because we've been kind of working on the works here, trying to schedule this one in. I'm gonna give a quick shout out to all our sponsors, FNX Pre-Workout and Supplement Company, for sponsoring the podcast. Shout outs to you. I use the pre-workout all the time. I used it this morning because I was kind of in a slump. I don't drink coffee, but I do drink this pre-workout. I recommend it to everybody. If you guys want to purchase a pre-workout, go into a link into a bio for 15% off. It does support the podcast. I appreciate you. And then our other sponsor is Golden Palm and Mobile Detailing. And our mobile detailing needs. He is in San Diego, so DM him for your mobile detailing needs for any car washes, basic ceramic coating, anything you want, interior, exterior. If you're freaked out about the coronavirus, he could steam clean your whole car. He do the works. If you just, you know what I mean, something happened in your car, he'll clean it up, no questions asked, and that's it. All right, today I have a special guest right here. Her name is Max, and I kind of know this. I kind of know her through a mutual friend. I played one time poker with her husband. Beautiful family, good environment, all vibes. I want to introduce you to Max. How you doing, Max?
Hey.
How you doing? You don't get nervous on me, good. Don't get nervous. Let's bring the microphone a little bit more in, all right? All right. So you reached out to me the other day, and it was like so random because I don't know you, but I know like your husband and stuff like that, and like you just came at me so positive, so with so much good energy. I felt that, you know what I mean. That day I was tired because I was like feeling kind of down, and then whatever you told me,
I was gonna say I felt like you needed it.
I was like, yo, like I was in my room. I was like, yo, because I mean, we go through slumps. You know what I mean? We go through slumps. We go through downhills. I try to keep as positive as possible, but you know what? We're not robots.
Nope.
So for sure, it was just like, yo, you gave that quick prayer, and then like I was just like, man, just like that's good people. You know what I mean? You always keep those good people around.
I
Always.
appreciate that.
Yeah. I brought you in because because of that, you know what I mean. So I was like, yo, and then later on, through that night, we started conversating about like you doing like a Bible study and stuff like that. Did you already do one?
So I was part of a Bible study, and so I have some experience, not leading one, but I'm willing to learn.
Of course.
So yeah, I mean, I'm all about just growing and getting people together and just
Yeah. Was it always like that?
no.
No. I mean, I come from a Catholic background. I've said this in the previous podcast. I respect it. I don't understand the Spanish version, and it's just like I grew up like that Catholic. You know what I mean? The whole song and dance, up and down, left and
Yes.
right. And I respected it because of my parents and stuff like that. And then I just grew distant because we became teenagers, and it just was not a priority at that mindset at that time because we just got so consumed about each other and we forgot about him. You know what I mean? And always some tragic happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that you always find God and need God, and that was me. I mean, something tragic. I lost my uncle on a tragic incident. So I feel like in that time in my life, I was going through so much stuff. I was getting divorced.
You gave? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man.
I was-
Okay, continue.
Yeah.
You're
No, you're
giving
good.
me the
Like, babe,
chills.
no, I was getting divorced. I lost my uncle was murdered. You know what I mean? I was so young. I was getting divorced at 24. You know what I mean? I was just like so lost, and to the point like I was just like in a depression. You know what I mean? So I was just like, man, I need to get out of this. You know what I mean? So little by little, my cousin would attend the Rock Church, and she would tell me like, come, and I'm like, what do a 24-year-old guy like? No, I'm good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We think we're good,
Yeah.
quote. You know what I mean? But we're never good. You know
No.
what I mean? And one day I was just like, I went on like a 2-day binge. I was just drinking hard, and I went to the service hungover, and I posted a picture like of me in that after the service, and I always look at it. I'm just like, dude. And it sucks because that first time I could always the only thing I remember is like I was I was messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I was drunk and I was kind of hungover and ever since that day I was just like it just turned like it was just like yo like I was balling out like yo like internally I'm not a crier, but that one it just like grabbed me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then ever since then it's just been like of a learning and I'm still learning. You know what I mean? Now it's just like I just want to get more in depth and always and then that's when you said about the group. You know what I mean? A Bible study. I always wanted to do a Bible study, but we always tell you like oh I don't have enough time. You know what I mean? Or just
That's
like
our like number one excuse all the time.
yeah, and
I mean, we're all busy.
yeah, we're busy. You know what I mean? I'm a single father. You know what I mean? I'm running a
Mm-hmm.
company right now, and I'll make time. I make
Yeah.
time for other things.
I think we make time for what's important to us.
Yeah, and then that's the most important thing right now. That
And I like what you said on your last episode where it's like you want to be an employer, not an employee the rest of your life.
oh yeah, facts.
Yeah. So I respect that a lot.
It's not an easy. It's not gonna come easy. I love the struggle. I love the challenge. Today was I've been pretty much been on my own managing and running this company for like 3 weeks. I'm not. I mean, it got everything hit me. I'm losing employees, people who are crying and stuff.
Holy
But
crap.
I love it. I love it. It's just like because since I was a kid, my father always told me it was like you could educate yourself and make great money, or you could just grind and crack that bag, but you can't complain.
Nope.
And that's what I did. I chose to crack that back and not complain. And ever since then, it's just been uphill, uphill, uphill. I've been so blessed to be in these positions and stuff like that and never take them for granted. That's why on my Instagram, I'm always trying to be as positive. I was like, look, we could be in a bad situation right now, especially with COVID-19. Man, you know what I mean? I know people that have passed away. I know people that are struggling with COVID-19. And I wake up, I was like, man, I'm still healthy.
Yeah.
I wake up every day. I always say, I said it on my last podcast, when I wake up, I put worship music. I put Elevation, Bethel, whatever it's called.
Yes.
I always start off with positivity. A lot of people wake up, it's like, oh, man, another day. You're already starting off bad. You're already starting, like,
100%.
yo, I mean, I always wake up and like, yo, my kid's right there. Thank God.
Thank
yeah,
God, yep.
yeah, thank God. All right. Yeah, because she's a little one. I mean, so I was like,
And
man,
she's so cute.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, she's yesterday she threw a tantrum at me.
Oh,
I was just
they
like,
do. Wait until she gets older.
she's going on 18 right now.
Good luck.
I know. She was like, I don't know. She's
And
fun.
I have a boy. So.
You know, I love girls. I only want girls. I grew up with a family of like 13 girls.
Oh.
I'm like pretty much. There's only a few boy families, boy members in our family, so I'm so accustomed to. I have like a lot of sisters. I got like 5 sisters.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang.
So I think I have the patience for the women.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I have all sisters.
Yeah?
I have 3
Traumatized.
sisters. So I'm just like,
I'm
no.
No, is it easier for the boys?
I mean, I only have one kid. So Grayson's, thankfully, I'm blessed. He's an easy kid. But
Yeah.
now as he's older,
Yeah.
oh man, like I see so much of me in him. Like your parents like watch when you have a kid, and it's like legit. It's like karma. It's like
Karma.
watch when you have a kid.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but you could always just hope for the best.
Oh, like
yeah.
I mean, I love my kid. Like don't get me wrong, but I just laugh because I'm like, oh man, like what he just said is
It's like a
me.
resemblance
Oh,
of-
no, it's me to a T. Like
Yeah?
I'm just like, oh, man. He'll be like, ay, como chinga. I'm like, hey, man, and
yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's. So I'm like, I can't really complain.
Dead. But I mean, he has 2 great parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's blessed. I mean, everybody's situations. But I mean, I seen your husband, awesome guy. You know what I mean? I seen yourself. Yeah, I mean, super mom. I can see it as it is.
I mean, it's not easy.
We're trying every day. Every day is like a whole new challenge. It's just like constantly hitting it. It's like no days off.
Never.
It's never days off.
Never a day off.
I always say thank God to my kid's mom. You know what I mean, because the co-parent relationship is like so awesome right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's important too.
Yeah, I always tell everybody like break tradition. You know what I mean? Break tradition. Have the best communication. If there's no communication, it's not gonna work.
It's definitely not. I think, I swear you gave me like the chills. You're just like hitting everything on the head right now. But no, definitely communication. I think it's hard when you guys don't know how to speak that same language as each other, even just to get by. So yeah, I mean co-parenting was probably one of the hardest because I mean, you know, my husband and I, we weren't, and you know, like I said, I'll be really like raw and open, and I like to say that our tests and trials in life end up being our testimonies.
Right.
And I can sit here today and I thank God for just how far He got me because a couple, maybe 3 years ago, I felt like I was at rock bottom.
Really?
Yeah.
More at rock bottom as with yourself?
With myself, just everything in general.
Really?
Yeah. So our relationship was pretty rocky. And, you know, we just got to a point where we were like, this isn't working for us anymore.
Wow.
And we were like, all right, you know, it's just, we can't keep doing this. This isn't life for myself, for him, for our kid especially. So, you know, we were like, hey, we're going separate ways. We're going to get divorced.
Wow.
And literally within that exact same day of, you know, saying we're going to get divorced, I get into this really bad car accident. It was like one thing after another that I just could not even fathom. And so this is like going into the new year. So this is probably going into 2019. So 2 years ago. I don't know. Anyway.
18.
Yeah, 2018 going into 2019. So I was just like at the lowest point of my life. And I'm just like, you know, like you don't sleep, you don't eat. You're just like, you just have this pit in your stomach. And it just took for me to hit that. And I'm forever thankful for hitting that.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I
for sure.
had my job, you know, I had my family and stuff, but
It's not the same.
no,
It's not the same.
it's not. And I'm so thankful that I was there.
Yeah.
As much as I hated being there in that moment, though, I can sit here today. I'm like, that was a blessing in disguise because I needed that. I needed to lose everything and rebuild it for myself because I was so dependent on my husband for so long that I didn't have my own like personality. I didn't like, I was a mom and then a wife. And then I was like, well, who am I? I didn't even,
You don't know your identity.
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know my own identity. So I had to like, I'm like, okay, so let me start facing this. Like, I'm going to go through this divorce. I don't want it. But you know what? If this is what God brought to me, He's going to get me through it. And honestly, at that point, I wasn't like, just like you, I was raised in a Catholic household. We weren't super like, my mom, you know, she's like, wasn't super like, you better go to church or anything like that. But the same thing, like it just, I would go because it was
Mandatory.
like my mom, that was what I was around.
Right.
So after that whole accident, I was like, you know what, I can't either. I'm going to pick myself up and build my new life for myself and my son, or I'm just going to sit and
Do nothing.
do nothing. Like, what are you going to do? So
Yeah.
I was like, no, get your ass up. You know, you're going to be okay. Keep telling yourself you're going to be okay. And it started with that, just that small, you're going to be okay. You're going to be good. You're fine. You're alive. And it sucked. Do not get me wrong.
Oh, it does.
It sucked. It sucked so bad. And, you know, at that time, we did not have the best communication. Like, it was so bad.
I think it's like a lot of emotion was involved in it.
Oh, 100%.
Because-
and there was no understanding. There was just no communication between there. So it was rock bottom for me. And I was like, I made it a point that new year. I was like, you know what? You're not going to fail, man. You're going to get your ass up and you're going to rebuild. And I did everything that I rebuilt myself. Yeah, I was back at my mom's house with my kid, which is not where I wanted to be. But I'm like, you know what? You're healthy. You have your job. And I went and I got my own car. Like, yeah, like things that like I never saw myself really doing for myself because my husband always had provided for me.
Right.
I went and I did for myself. So little by little, like getting back into working out and like it was like a habit. Like I started all these new habits to like rebuild myself and who I was. And I started to come into terms with who I was.
That's
and
awesome.
find myself. And yeah, like if I didn't go through those things or those trials and tests, like I would not be who I am today. And
For the person that's going through that same struggle, what got you out of that? Like the realization, like, yo, okay, I'm in this situation. What do you tell yourself? Like, all right, what's the first step for the person that's going? Because we're all there's not. Let me word that right. Not everybody has that support system or that mental strength. So this podcast does help. For that person that's going through the same struggle as you right now in the same situation, not maybe same but similar, what you tell yourself, like as far as like to get out of that, what's the first step?
Being honest with yourself.
Flaws and everything.
You
Throw
have,
it out there.
yeah. There was just times where, like, I'm telling you, like, I didn't even know who the hell I was.
Really?
My identity was being a mom and then being a wife.
Not a lot of people could do that.
And it's weird because I feel like as you get old, at least for me, sometimes I have this really like realization that I'm like, holy shit, like I'm almost 30 years old. Why do I feel like I just graduated high school like five, you
Girl,
know? So it's kind of like no offense. There's nothing wrong with being 30.
I'm about to be 30.
That's congratulations.
Yeah, I'm about to be 30 next year, girl.
There's
And I love it.
nothing wrong with that. No, it's perfectly fine. But I think that time just goes by so fast. And then, like, I mean, you have a kid, so it's just like when I had my son, it was more of a sense like, okay, I'm pregnant, and now I have this kid, so it's like who I was prior to this no longer exists.
Of course not.
And I even remember like writing myself a letter, and it was basically just letting go of who I saw myself as prior to being a mom, because I feel like, well, that person no longer existed. I was just completely just a different person.
I was the same way. Honestly, when I found out, it's I come from a single mom household, so I never really I had a childhood, but I really didn't because single mom. I had to help my mom out a lot.
Yeah.
I was bouncing around. I went to like 5 schools in 1 year. Yeah, I mean from here to here. I was just following her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what that came with is a lot of responsibility. I had to grow up fast. I had to help my mom and my sisters. I had to, man. There was times, man, that the big one's taking care of the little one, and I'm 10 and she's like 2. You know what I mean? I'm in those situations. I get left alone with the kids and something like that.
Yeah.
I always had that that fatherly instinct since I was young. My sister calls me dad. You know what I mean? Because it's just cause like my dad was there, but he was not really like he lived in the same area, but
Gotcha.
you know what I mean. So love the man. Never no hate, but it's
Yeah.
just situations were different. Obviously, you gotta respect whatever happened. I never held grudges on my
Yeah.
parents. Whatever my path is, I took it. I never hold any grudges on anybody. But as far as like being a parent, like I felt like I already had that in me. So when I found out, yo, I can remember this day when my kid's mom told me like, yo, like we're having a kid, we were just jumping around the living room in our studio, and then I was just like, it just clicked. I was like, all right, game time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I left that like you said, that old me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just ever since then it was just like grind, don't stop, like,
And that's
and
what
that's
you have
it.
to do. But yeah, going back to like the advice thing, I would definitely say is you have to be honest with yourself. You have to accept yourself where you are in that moment, not for who you were yesterday, or not for who you were, tomorrow, because you don't even know if you're gonna wake up tomorrow.
Facts.
And we get so caught up that it's not normal for us to look ourselves in the mirror and be like, hey, you know what? I love you. Like we
Yeah.
don't tell ourselves we love ourselves. That's weird to say, but we should.
Yeah.
Because how are we going to love? I always say this, and I remember telling it to my husband when we weren't together, or we were like kind of just in the midst of speaking terms, but I'm like, he's like, I just want to be the best dad and, the best husband. And my response to that was, I just want to be the best version of me.
Yeah.
100%. Because when I'm 100%, I can show up 100% as a mom. I can show up 100% as a wife. I can show up 100% as a daughter, a sister, a friend, at work. Rather than when you're not 100% with you, you can go to work and you can have like the shittiest of days and take it off on the wrong person,
Yeah.
or not show up for your daughter, or not show up when a sibling or a friend
It just
calls you and
shows,
needs
it
you.
reflects on everybody else.
Yeah, so I think that we have to learn to accept ourselves and just be raw and honest. If you can't do that with anyone else, and it's ironic because it's, I mean, not ironic, but like, we can be so raw with other people sometimes that we're not even raw with ourselves in silence.
That's true.
And I literally, that's what I had to do. Like, I had my mom, I had my sisters there, and, you know, they would see me. Like, that was the lowest point they've ever seen me like that. Like, because I was just heartbroken. I was just like, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, how is this my life right now? Like, what did I do wrong? Like,
I missed a step somewhere.
yeah, I'm like, who did I piss off? Like, did I steal something from someone that I wasn't supposed to? Like, it was just, it was bad. I felt like there was times where I just didn't even want to wake up. It was bad. And yeah, you just got to be honest. I was honest with myself. I said, you know what? No,
How old was your kid when all this happened? Was he a newborn?
no.
If you don't mind me asking.
Uh,
Because your kids.
He was maybe 3.
Do you think it was maybe like a postpartum thing? Because I mean, or maybe just like a mix of like depression and like the whole identity thing postpartum. You know what I mean? Because I know it's 3 year gap. I know it's kind of far into it, but like.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it was just more of a sense that I didn't realize that I was not being honest with who I was. It was just an identity thing for myself. But I didn't, the weird part is like, I didn't even realize that I was having an identity crisis.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't. And it's weird because I feel like up until maybe last year and this year is when I realized that. Like, I was just like, damn, like, you did not know who the hell you were for a really long
So
time.
you were just kind of like cruising by, letting time
Yeah.
pass by.
Yeah,
Like,
I would just wake up and exist.
all right. I feel like it's very important for like. There's a lot of super moms out there. Shout outs to y'all that love that lifestyle, just a house mom, and you know what I mean, the old school traditional. You know what I mean, but you know what I mean, and on the other side of the bridge is just like the mom that loves to be a mom, but they loves to be more of above and beyond, loves to work and stuff like that. You know what I mean? My kid's mom, she's a hustler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She loves to be the mom, but she loves to work too. You know what I mean? And for a point in our lives that I try to provide that single mom life to her, but that wasn't her role. You know what I mean? She's like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. If I could provide that, and
You mean like staying at home?
yeah, stay at home mom.
Yeah. See,
And
I did the same thing and I hated it.
Yeah, she was like, I can't do it. I'm fucking going crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do something about it. So she went all up and about, and she got like 3 jobs and shit. I was like, hold on, turn it.
She would.
Like let's turn it down a little bit. But
She's like, I gotta go back. I'm never
yeah.
gonna be home.
yeah, no, but like, I supported it.
Yeah.
We made it work. You know
That's
what I mean?
awesome.
She made it work on my end because I mean, Jesus Christ, I work a lot. You know what I mean? I sacrifice a lot of my time. Granted, knowing it now, I was away a lot because at that moment she was a stay-at-home mom because our daughter was just born, and I was away a lot. Even I left the hospital to go to work.
Oh man.
Yeah, we were supposed to bring our daughter home, and I left the hospital. I was like, yo, I gotta go to work. And then it was in my head, it was the plan because to become where I'm at now, a manager. You know what I mean? I had to sacrifice a lot. Granted, I regret a lot of those things because I did miss a lot of those moments of like her growing up as a little baby and stuff like that. So now I pretty much, my schedule just literally is around her. Like she's never seeing me because she goes, like the only time she don't see me is when she goes to school, but I'm there right after school.
Yeah.
Or like if I can, I'll be there before school when I drop her off. Me and her, even though she does, my kid's mom doesn't have to be there, but when I drop her off and it's my day, she meets me at school and we both walk them in.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? But it's because it's so important psychologically to,
Yes.
even though it's not an intimate relationship, it's a co-parenting communication relationship, and we do those things. A lot of the things we do is not traditional,
Yeah.
but you know what? I don't care because in the day it brings happiness to my kid. You know what I mean? Me and her, we interact as far as like we go to the park or something like that, and then we would watch her play, and it's very just like that. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not traditional because I was raised to like okay, just cut the check, and then
Yeah.
weekend dad. I'm not a weekend dad.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like, yo, like, I love my kid way too hard to
Mm-hmm.
like just be a weekend dad. Granted, there's moments I don't see her probably like a couple days out of the week, but it's just.
Yeah.
But
It's
going
tough.
back, yeah, it's tough. You know what I mean? Going back to what you were saying, not a lot of moms could do that. Single mom, but the stay at home mom. It's
Oh
hard.
no.
Not.
I mean, there's people that thrive, and I'm like, you go, girl, because
I'm ready to stay. I'm ready to be a stay at home dad. I'm tired.
there's
I am tired. My back hurts.
we've been essential since the beginning of this. So
Yeah, well, I've always worked since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Since I graduated high school, I never stopped working.
Mm.
I barely take days off. Right now I'm going on 3 weeks, no days off.
that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I love to work. I'm a workaholic. That's why one of the issues that caused a ripple effect with me and my kid's mom, because I'm always working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I focus so much because, like I said, I want to be a boss. I don't want to be an employee. So it's kind of selfish in a sense, but I sacrificed a little bit. Obviously, there's more to it, but I know that was one of the effects of
Yeah.
like the ripple, what happened, stuff like that. But she even said herself, like, yeah, we can't be in a relationship, but I didn't lose. I lost my partner, but I gained a best friend.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And that's what she told me. I was like, damn, girl, you don't want to make me cry and shit. But it's all vibes. It's all love.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you know my kid's mom and stuff like that, small interactions and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I always say shout outs to her. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you don't like it, then yeah, you could log off and shit. And I'm gonna probably break a couple hearts on shit. But going back to what you were saying, like, so at one point you were in a lowest point, and I was in lowest point myself, and it's like, yo, I've been in that situation where me and my kid's mom split. Yo, I lost 35 pounds fast.
Yeah.
In like 2 months I lost it.
Yeah.
I was like a walking skeleton.
Yeah.
It consumed me mentally, physically,
draining.
health wise. I started smoking, like, yo, like I started picking up all
Doing
these
stuff that you don't normally do.
yeah, I started drinking, and it was just like, yo, like, it's because like it's weighs so much, it's so heavy, like if everything just like you're upset, you're emotionally, you have a ball in your stomach, you have a pit, you're like you can't eat.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's just like little by little I was like, I need to get out of this. I'm losing so much weight, and health wise it's not like the
Yeah.
best. So I mean, I just, like you said, like I started doing things for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I started. I never liked the not being there for my kid because I was always priority number one.
Yeah.
But for sure, like to get my mental self back, I always hit the gym. Just,
nice.
just go and hit it.
Yeah.
Hit it. For sure. And then I started putting myself into God a little bit more. Because I was like, when I told you the first story, like when I went to the service and I was like under the influence. That was like 2 years before me and my kid's mom split. So I was still active, but kind of like I was a part-time guy.
Gotcha.
I was never committed full time. You know what I mean? And that's already bad itself.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, yo, I need to get into it. I need to snap out of it. I mean, I can't just I could help myself so far, but I need to get in depth with the man. And that's what I did. I mean, I went to service as much as I could. I read a lot. I started recently, probably like since last year, I started writing.
Good.
Just my
Like journaling.
emotions.
Yeah.
I mean, I write them and never read them again.
Do you like throw them away or you leave them in?
I love in the book, but I just never read them again
Mm.
because once you put them in there, you actually expressing yourself. You have to
Gotcha.
give it everything you got, like the full, like
Okay.
you should never read back old emotions
Gotcha.
and just. You don't have to make sense.
Yeah. No.
But
I get what
at the end of the day, he makes it sense. So I write it down. I pray to everybody, pray to myself. Just try to manifest the most positivity as possible. You know what I mean? And yeah, and if that's one of the biggest keys. I just read. I don't know. Like I just open the book and I just start reading.
Like your Bible.
Yeah, I just start reading.
You
I don't even know where I'm ending and where I'm starting. I just go.
That's awesome though.
Yeah, you know what I mean, but I do want to get more in depth, and that's when you came in. So you wanted to do this the
Bible study.
Bible study, and I was like, yo, like, coincidence because I always wanted that, and like, yo, God puts people
God's timing.
yeah,
Yeah.
God puts people in front of me or in front of other people, and it's just like something so beautiful. You
For
know
a
what I mean?
reason. Yeah.
What got you into that? Like, as far as like, I know what got you to it, but like, what?
So okay, like you, I was raised Catholic in a Catholic home, but like ironically, my mom would never. She would go to church occasionally, but like
Trying to get the nachos in the
for
end, and shit.
me, she was just like, "You better go to church." Like
Yeah.
me and my little sister, she's like, "You guys better go to church" when she was at
Right.
work, and like it's so funny because like I pretty much like would take my little sister to school and walk her home, and then we would have dinner, and like then my mom would get home, so like I would pretty much like raise my little sister.
Yeah.
And so like my mom would be like, "You guys better go to church on Sunday," and then we would like disconnect the phone. So when she would call, we would like pretend we were like at church. Sometimes we would go.
Yeah. We were kids.
Yeah.
Can't
But
blame
I'm
us.
like, dang, I'm like maybe 12, if that 11, and you want me to take my sister to church? Like, what? No.
Yeah.
Like,
At that.
like, what?
At that moment, we want to watch Saturday night cartoons.
Yeah, I'm just like, bro, I just want to stay at home. Like,
Yeah.
what? So yeah, I mean, that's where we got like the whole Catholic thing. So that was like a habit. So then after that whole thing, my car accident and everything, I'm like a really huge spiritual person.
What do you mean? Like candles?
Besides,
Crystals?
besides any of that, like I have, I swear, some people call it a gift.
All right, go. Tell me. Talk
So
to
I'm
me.
scared.
Nah, girl, too. Got.
So it kind of like started when I was pregnant with my son.
Okay.
So my uncle had passed away, like maybe when I was 7.
Okay.
And but I have all these like memories of him. We like just of him. So when I was pregnant with my son, I started having, you know, like you dream randomly sometimes. So to have a specific dream repeated all the time was like weird to me.
That's. I don't think. I don't think a lot of people could do that.
It was like one specific, and it was weird because it was like a TV show kind of like it started, and ironically it was like my grandma's old house, like,
Okay.
and everything like even to the smell, like I remembered it as a child. It was really weird.
Okay.
And then, long story short, it was like almost episodes. I was like, okay, yeah, next episode you'll see whatever. It was kind of like I was itching for it. So every time I would wake up, I was like, damn, like what was that?
That's so crazy.
In this dream, I kept seeing. I was going through my grandma's old house, and at the end of it, it was my uncle, and I was like holy shit! Like I saw him, and like. At first, when I explained it to my husband, he's like, "You're tripping," and I was like, "No, I'm not." I was like, "This is real." And then the next night, it was the same thing. Like it kept going.
Like just
Yeah,
constant.
it was, and it would start at the beginning, go through, and then every time it was just like a little bit more, and
What?
then finally at the last time I had that dream, he finally like just spoke to me, and
Dang. That's crazy.
every time I would see him, he wouldn't say anything to me, and I was like, oh my god, like I was just like starstruck, kind of like seeing him. And then the last stream, he looked me dead in the eyes, and he's like, "I'm alive," and I was like, "No, you're not." I was like, "No, you're not." It was weird.
That's
And
crazy.
shortly after that, they told me I was having a boy, and I was like, oh my god. So then I'm like in my head, like I'm like, what if he's like reincarnated into my kid?
That's dope.
And then my husband's like, no, like please don't, please stop, like please don't. So it's like small things like that, but like that I just believe in certain things. Like I get signs all the time, like crazy signs, like
what?
you know when you see like 1111 and you'll see it everywhere, or like certain number patterns, and
Right.
I'm like a freak where I'm like, okay, this has a meaning to this, especially like when I like see certain numbers. So like
Yeah.
even the beginning of this year, I kept seeing 555 everywhere, whether it was the time in the morning, in the evening. And then I started to realize like I have my Bible app and we get verses of the day.
Right.
And every morning it was like 555. Like I would get it exactly at that time. And then like addresses, just like everywhere, like patterns. So I was like, what
Where is this coming from?
does this mean? Like something's like something. It's something. So I look it up and it's like pretty much like I have like some angels watching over me pretty much, and they're pretty much telling me that I'm ready to take the next step, that I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
That's awesome.
That I just need to take that leap and just trust them and trust God, and everything that I'm doing, like where I'm at is exactly where I was supposed to be. And at that point in my life, I'd never felt so whole. I felt like I knew who I was. I felt like, I was doing good at work. I was being a good mom. And, it wasn't even up until this year that my husband and I like reconciled and finally said, hey, we need to cut the shit. And if we're
I was just about to say,
yeah,
like, cut this shit.
like cut the shit. We're not getting any younger. And so like, and I was like, all right, I just gotta
Go with the flow.
go with the flow. And I was at that point just going with the flow. I was like, whatever God has for me at this point in my life,
That's awesome.
he has it for me. And ironically, not ironically, but meant to be. So I went to this guy who did like a couple of my tattoos. And every time he would do my tattoos, even like the smallest ones, he'd be like, oh, I'm going to like sketch it and then I'll put it on you and then I'll go over it. I'm like, all right, whatever. So for the longest time, I was like telling him, I was like, I want something under my breast. Like, I just want like a vine or something. I was like, something along those lines. And he's like, okay. He's like, well, you figure it out and you get back to me. I'm like, all right. So every tattoo I have, it has meaning to it.
Right.
So I have like Emmanuel, which means God with us right here.
Right.
Yeah. So like I just little ones that I have, every tattoo I told myself, I'm like, it's going to have meaning. So I'm not going to throw something on me that just does not
Yeah, you don't want to regret
have
it.
significant. Yeah, exactly. So, and he was like that. He's like, I'm not throwing anything on you until you figure it out. I'm like, all right, fine. So then one day I'm like driving and I was like, I got it. I was like, I know what I want. So I text him and I'm like, hey, got it. I know what I want. And he's like, what's up? I want an olive branch under my breast. And he's all, an olive branch? He's all, that's so random. I was like, no. And he's like, this is what I want. I kind of sent him a picture of it. And he's like, all right. And I was like, all right, cool. I was like, I'll see you tonight. He's like, all right. So I get there and he had done one like right on like my sternum and it says fe, but it's in a cross. And that's where I started with him. Like he had done that one first.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, all right. So he's like, you know what? He's like, I'm not going to sketch this out. He's like, I'm just going to freehand it. And I was like, all right. Like something in me was just like, all right, like go ahead.
Dang, that's a lot of trust.
Yeah. So I'm like laying there. He's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. He said, you're like not flinching. You're not doing anything. Like he's like, you have a high pain tolerance. I was like, I really do. He's like, all right. He's like, so then we start getting into this deep conversation. He's like, what is the significance for this? Like for this tattoo? And I'm like, well, the olive branch is used throughout the Bible. I'm like, and an olive branch or an olive tree can survive and sustain rocky situations.
Yeah.
And they thrive. They can die and then come back on their own. And, olive oil, it's this blessing. It's such like an anointed like gift. Everyone like in the Bible, it's like, oh, it's like olive oil. It's like such, this big thing. And for me, I was just like, you know what? I'm like, the thing that stuck out for me was these trees can survive on their own. Like they literally die or they can go through anything and then come back and just bear fruit.
Yeah, be beautiful again.
And I was like, so for me, I was like, the last couple of years, I was like, I felt like I was that. I felt like I literally, the person that I was died and I was reborn again because everything that I went through, like I'm a whole brand new person. I was like, and that's the significance for this in the middle of my faith. Fe is faith in Spanish. So I was like, in the midst of me being so lost, I found my faith, and I'm forever grateful for it.
Damn.
And the weird part with that
Oh,
is
shit,
when
here
I
it
got,
comes.
yeah, when I got home, I was like, like patting it dry and like putting the ointment on it, like taking care of it. And as I'm like counting, like, so it's like the branches, it's like a branch and it has like 3 little pockets.
Right.
And on each little like pocket of leaves, it was like 5, 5, 5. I was like,
Nah.
oh my God, I swear.
Oh,
I was like, oh my God. I was like, the fact that he free-handed this shit too
And he
wasn't
didn't, no
traced.
input, no
I
nothing.
didn't say anything. I was like, you just do it.
Do
I
your
didn't
thing.
say anything. And then when I got home,
Wow.
I was like, oh my God.
Hey, that's I don't even know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just like, I do, a lot of people are like, always like, oh, you're so spoken to. Like, even like the other, like, I was driving home from Big Bear with my son like a couple weeks ago. And like, I was like telling my friend, so I told you, sorry, I was like kind of all over the place, but
No, you're good.
I met this girl.
Okay.
I started watching Elevation
Elevation worship.
church.
Okay.
So when I would go to Catholic church, I kind of weaned off and I would watch Elevation
Right.
online.
Right.
It was just spoke to me.
I
I
felt the
felt
same way.
like watching church on YouTube, everyone's kind of like, okay, that's weird. I mean, obviously now it's the norm, but like in that moment, I even thought that for myself. I was like, how church on YouTube, so random. But I'm like, the first sermon that I've ever heard, I was like, that was for me. Like everything that the pastor had said was everything I was going through in that moment. And I was like hooked since then. I made it a point. And it was weird because I couldn't make it to Catholic church. I would find an excuse to not make it to Catholic church a block away. But I would not miss
The service.
service on that YouTube channel. And they're 3 hours ahead. I would literally wake up 6 o'clock our time to make it to church
Yeah.
and watch the first service on the East Coast.
Yeah. I felt that same way too because when I was going through my trials and stuff with my kid's mom, I was just like I needed somebody, and like when I went, shout out to Pastor Miles. Every time I would go, like I felt like the room would go black.
Like
And
you were the only one in
yeah,
there.
and then I was just like his voice is so gravitating, and like it was just like I felt like he was just speaking, like he was just like on my shoulders, like hey, like he was saying my name, and it was just like it would like his voice would like hit me, like I felt so heavy, like just with the words, and I'm just like, and I was just start crying, you know what I mean, and I was just like yo, like and then like everybody takes it in different, but for some reason like you said, every word was like he was explaining it to like in artists and now yeah, I mean in Catholic it's a little bit like very traditional, very old, it's very just very cut
Yeah.
and dry, and then the newer age of service and church is just like more of like today, like what everybody's going through today, you know what I mean? A lot of, and that's why, and I was the same way. I couldn't relate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the day it's all love. God is number one. It don't matter as long as you find him. That's
Yeah.
the most important, because a lot of people that are like, oh well, Christianity and Catholic, it's just like no, it's in the day he
It's
died
what
on the
you
cross
believe
for
in.
us, you know what I mean? It don't matter how you see it, as long as you see it itself.
Yeah.
It's in the end of the day, it's peace, love, and then he is the man and he is God, and that's how I took it, and that's how, and that's how, that's why one of the biggest reasons why I started this podcast, because like this is like a platform of itself of help, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? I've helped a lot of individuals myself. We gotten emails, people that are just struggling and stuff with abuse, or just like with relationships and stuff like that, and that's one of the things, like if I could help somebody, it's gonna help somebody.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest reasons why, and as it is, I already talk a lot, you know what I mean, and I was like, yo, I need to put this out
Girl,
there.
let me just use my
Like,
gift.
yeah, and I for so many years I was like, yo, I want to do a podcast. I started with Joe Rogan. I started listening to Joe Rogan, and I was like, yo, I need to do something like that. That's why a lot of our podcasts are a lot of mental health
Yeah.
or relationships and stuff like that, because I think mental health is one of like the most things so neglected. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, 100%.
And there's not a lot of resources that there is, and there's not. You know, it's just
I
not,
think people just are afraid to use the resources.
or accept that they're in a mental health situation. Maybe a lot of it's severe, a lot of it's just minor, but as long as you recognize you have some issue, then you got to address yourself, try to become the best version of yourself, because a lot of Hispanic tradition is just like, nah, like that, you keep
Ignore
ignore it.
Yeah.
Nah, it's nothing, dude. Yes, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, just we'll talk. Like, no, it's like, dude, you gotta accept it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You gotta know. And still to this day, I mean, I'm always growing myself. I'm always adding new things and taking away new things out, because the old version of me was like, just like, relationship wise, the way I saw things was just like not the best. You know what I mean?
Version.
Yeah, because I raised myself in a sense, to a certain point. Obviously, my parents were still there, but like, I thought my way was the way, and it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just like, shout out to my kid's mom that she broke those walls down. Shout outs to my ex-wife too, that she broke those walls too. And I realized it, like, yo, like, there's so much good in me that I need to fix. Until this day, I'm still fixing myself. Like you say, like, I wake up with positivity,
Yeah.
because that's the best way to start. Because
Yeah.
if you're negative all the time, that's gonna be who you are.
Well, you manifest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can wake up and you're like, all right, I'm going to have a shitty day. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Today I was like, oh, man, I'm tired.
I love
And then
Monday.
I was like, no.
I love Mondays.
Mondays, okay.
I love
and
Mondays.
Ironically, like, I tell my husband that all the time. I'm like, I don't mind Mondays. Like, Mondays are probably like my easiest days. Today was not that day. I was like, oh man, they changed up my schedule completely.
Mondays is one of the best days ever. Why? Because it's one of our busiest days. If I can't get over the hardest day of the week, how am I gonna get it through the easiest day of the week? You know what I mean? It's like, then I'm looking forward to the weekend, and I haven't even got through the Monday yet. Like, yo, like, let's conquer
One day at a time.
one day at a time.
Yeah.
Like, people try to eat so much, and like they haven't eat the plate in front of them.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
That's
You're like,
true.
yo, like, let's take it easy real quick.
One thing at a
Yeah,
time.
like, yo, let's set the table real quick. Like,
Yeah.
hold up, like, yeah. I mean, and that's how a lot of people that I work with too. They're just so negative, and it's so just like, I'm like, bro, you first of all, you're employed. You're blessed to come. There's 3.5 million people unemployed right now. You're here right now. That's a lot.
Yep.
I have this kid, man. He's like 22 years old, and he's 22. You know what I mean? I get it. He's a kid, and I was like, bro. I always tell him, I have so much faith in you, bro. Like, I see you and me, like, and I was like, yo, there's so much you could do. It's just, he's just like, he always, obviously, what is a 22-year-old? He's gonna shrug that advice off. But I was like, dude, I always give him confidence. Like, bro, you're the man. Yo, you showed up every day. How's your mama doing? Okay, like, you know what I mean? I'm praying for you, brother.
It's those small things.
You know what I mean? I try to connect with my employees like that. Yeah, I mean, I know it's not traditionally that's what you should do, but I'm human. You know what I mean? I love people itself. You know what I mean? And I just try to be so much positivity. Even on my Instagram, I try to show positivity. You know what I mean?
And it's all about that energy, because
Yeah.
the smallest things, like, you don't know, man. Like, someone could be having the shittiest of days, and I've learned to not, like, don't get me wrong. I mean, I used to do it all the time, and sometimes I don't feel like people realize that they're doing it. Like, where you come off like really judgmental, or like you're in a rush, so you're like just a complete ass to someone else, and I'm like, dude, you need to slow it down.
Yeah.
Like, who knows? I always say it, even to my husband. I'm like, hey, and now my husband does it too. He's like, we don't know what kind of day they're having. We don't know what someone is struggling with.
Yes.
Like, a couple weeks ago, we saw this girl, and she was like screaming at the top of her lungs in her car on the phone, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I hope that girl's okay. We got a car wash, came back, and we found her in the parking lot again. She's screaming her head off. My husband goes up to her.
Oh,
He's
wow.
like, hey, are you okay? And she's like, I'm going through a really bad breakup. And my husband said she had, like, cut marks all over her arm. Wow. And he's like, I wish I didn't see that. I'm like, but you know what? You went up and you did something good. Because, like, everyone else is ignoring her.
Right.
And they're probably like, oh, this crazy, and probably judging her. And So I mean, we don't know. Everyone's going through a struggle. Everyone is. What's that mean?
No, it's mine.
Oh, okay. Like,
Okay.
um, everyone's going through a struggle. Everyone has, a fight that they're fighting, and I think it's important, especially in the midst of everything that's going on right now. It's free to just either mind your business or put a smile on your face. Or I try to make it a point, like when I go somewhere, I'm like I always make sure I try to acknowledge every person. Like whether if it's, oh hey, like hey, how's it going? Even if I
Yes.
continue walking, it's just like, how many times do other people just walk by and like people are just ignored? I'm like, dude, that's not the norm. Like it's the norm because we allow it to be a norm.
I used to be like that. I used to just ignore people and like, I don't got time. I was just like, and I learned the hard way. You know what I mean? I'm really good texting back and then replying. Because I used to be kind of guys like, just whatever. And I lost a friend because one, I just didn't know people's situation, and I lost, and it sucks because that friend was trying to reach out for me, and he's like trying to hang with me. You know what I mean? And he took his life a couple of days later,
Oh wow.
and I felt bad because I said, "Oh, not today," or like, "Oh, not right now." And totally looking at it back now, I had time.
Yeah.
I just was so selfish. So like, I'm too tired. You know what I mean? And he took his life, and that I made it a point that day. I was like, I'm always gonna reply to people.
Yeah.
I'm always gonna make some time or ask, hey, you good? Like, you know what I mean? Or like
Check in on people.
checking on people because I don't want to be not. I'm not saying I'm the reason, but I just feel like, yo, that person tried to reach out to me, and I ignored it because I didn't have time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or anything. You know what I mean? That's like what I was like, yo, I'm always trying to reply or like get back to you as soon as possible because it's so important because you don't know what people are going through. And so it's like those things changed who I am. You know what I mean? Hard, especially something tragic like that, so big. Yeah, I mean, it's so important to know where people are at mentally. You know what I mean? Because I know a lot of people like the girl individual you were talking about. You know what I mean? That's why I help so many. That's why I love to talk to people. I have a lot of I know a lot of people that actually reach out to me because they try to look for my point of view. Because one, I don't judge people. I hate I don't judge people for the past or the moment because I want to give them the clear sense like you could try, you can confide in
Yeah.
me, and when you come to me, you're gonna get an open heart and like a shoulder lean on
Yeah.
and an ear. I don't mean I don't even gotta say a opinion. All sometimes people just need to let it out, and then I could just sit there and just be like, "You okay?" And she's like, "Yeah." He or she, it
You're
don't
like, all
matter.
right, cool.
It's like all right. It's like, and then some majority of the time they do ask for a follow up, but I've had situations that I just needed to let it out, and I was like,
Like just an outlet.
yeah, and then a lot of people. It's funny though because I knew someone who's like, yo, I thought you were an asshole. And it was just like I look like it. I have that resting face, and it's like, but that's what happens. You don't get you judge people from their appearance,
Their appearance.
and then just like when you actually get to know me, I'm actually pretty like a decent person, and now I have a really good relationship with that person. She's like, yo, and she told me, she's like, I thought you were a dick. I was like, oh well, thank you. Like, but it was like, but nah, you're really a cool dude. And so I was like, yeah, don't if you talk to me when I was like 18, you probably thought, and then I
Yeah,
was,
you were on point.
yeah, but it's like it's just it's one of those things that I just grew to become. You know what I mean? And I wanted to touch on those dreams, because I was like so like I used to when my kid's mom was pregnant. I was and I was I said that my uncle passed away. For the longest time, it's so crazy. Like, how do I want to say the story right? He died tragically. Obviously, he was murdered. And so much love to this man that I mean, I spent so much time with him. Every time I would dream of him, and it's weird because I'm constantly knowing that I'm dreaming. So like, okay, there's been moments I was like, okay, I'm in a dream. So let me like I've okay, it's like I told myself like I'm dreaming, so he's there. I'm gonna have a conversation with him. Like literally, I was like I'm telling myself, like slow down, don't wake yourself up. Like okay, talk to him, but he never wanted to talk to me. He would just look at me, and then every time I would approach him, I would start crying, and I would wake up in tears.
Yeah.
I would just wake up in tears, and then like he was like, and then at one point when my kid's mom was pregnant, I was like, I would dream of him all the time, and I was like, I was so excited because I would see him and I would try to tell him, and he's like, nah, chill, like he's like, yo, like I have I'm gonna have a kid. It's like, relax, you know what I mean? It's like, and he's like, I'm gonna tell you what it. No, it's fine. He's like, I already know.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, and I would wake up in tears.
Yeah.
And then my kid's mom would like, you know what I mean? She would hug me, and I'm over here like hyperventilating because
Yeah.
it's just like, it was just like right around that time, and I would just like talk to him. I don't dream about him anymore because I let him rest. Like, you know what I mean? Like just
Same.
yeah, I was just like, but you know what I mean? Just talking about it right now, because I don't really talk to him about him too much because it's still emotional for me.
Yeah.
But man, those times is just like when you were talking about dreams, it's like, yo, that's a trip because it felt so real. Yeah, I mean, his touch, like just like the voice in his head. Like I can't picture his voice anymore. But when I dream, I could just it just clicks. It's just a trip that
No,
like
I know
you
what
tell
you
me
mean.
that because like I totally forgot about all that stuff when you told me. I was just like, it's just like literally someone just put in a CD
Yeah.
and everything just came back.
I mean, like I hadn't gone maybe like it's been a year. I used to make it a habit. Like I would, every time I was off, I would go and I'd like clean his like grave and like take him flowers. And I hadn't done it in like a hot minute, maybe like at least over a year. And I met a friend and she was like, hey, we were supposed to, go to Karina's like on East Street. We were supposed to meet at one
Karina's,
place.
yeah, Karina's.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, it's so packed here. Like, she's like, oh, like, let's go to this hole in the wall over here in Bonita. And I'm like, all right. So I met her. And then on the way home was the cemetery. And I was like, I'm going to stop here because I've not stopped here in a very long time. And I feel like that was just meant for us to it was meant for me to just stop there on my way home. So I stopped, and I'm telling you, it had been a year. And I like every time I would go there, I would just talk to him like if he was just sitting next to me. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, I haven't like come to visit you. I miss you. I love you. Like, just just BSing. And I get in my car, and I'm telling you with these signs, man. Get in my car, and I always have like my Pandora on, so like I turn my car on, put my seatbelt on, and I look at my like screen, and it was oh man, what song was it? It was like "What's Up" by I'd have to like show it to you, but it was like literally this song. It was like "What's Up" by like Three Blondes or some shit like that, and I'm like, oh my god, because that was the first thing when I got there. I'm like, what's up? I was like, what's up? I was like, I'm sorry I haven't come. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, just talking to him.
Yeah.
Get in my car, and it's that. And I'm like, holy fuck. I've been like emotional. I'm like crying on my way home because I'm like, oh my God. Like, out of any freaking song that could have played on my Pandora, any song, it was that one.
And then it's something that like, probably doesn't come around.
No, I was like probably like on like Joyner Lucas radio or something, like Drake or something, and like this random ass song on here. I'm like, okay, I hear you. And it's small things like that. But I think like I always tell like when they say like, oh, you have like this gift or like being spoken to and stuff, and I'm like,
does it ever freak you out, like because like you're constantly getting it, or just like you learn to accept it?
No, I think now I embrace it.
Yeah.
I think at first I was like, like I didn't realize it, and now I'm like, okay, like what does this mean? Like what is this? Like, or I don't know.
I mean, I'm not in tune like that. I mean, it's a special gift that that God's given you, but I mean, it's something that not a lot of people get. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Even like when I got in my accident, everyone's like, how did you crawl out of your car? And at first I didn't see my car. And so I'm sitting on the curb, and I'm just like, okay, like I was waiting for my husband to come and my mom to come because I called them. I was like, I just got in a car accident. And it was weird because like I felt like I was going to get in a car accident. It was weird.
Like heavy.
It was like such a strong feeling. Like I was like, I'm for sure going to get like, I don't know. Like I feel like someone's like, I just had that feeling. And sure enough, it was like, boom, I got T-boned right on my side.
Oof.
And if I was maybe like a couple inches sooner, that would have been direct on my door. So like the frame of my car is what they hit, so they didn't impact my door too bad. So I crawled out, and everyone was like, you have like someone watching over you because you should not be here. Like your car is bad. Like my car was totaled completely.
Wow.
And I'm sitting on the curb like nothing. Like and and then they said kids. So I'm like, dude. They're like, do you want to go to the hospital? I'm like, they're like, oh, the other kids. And I'm like, kids? I'm like, holy shit! Like, take the kids to the hospital because like I can only imagine their car. Like, take the kids. And they're like, that's really selfless of you. Like, you want to take the kids to the hospital before you? And they're like, no, we'll have like another ambulance. So it wasn't until I was in the hospital that they were like, the person that hit you is 15, doesn't have a driver's license, took their parents' car supposedly, and they hit you. They're the kids that hit you. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, what the fuck? And it wasn't until the next day that when I looked at pictures of my car, and I'm telling you, when I was like at rock bottom, like I had everything in my car. Like I was in the middle of moving out of the house. So I had all my shit, personal stuff in my car.
Damn.
And when I seen pictures of my car,
It was like someone just living in a car.
That's when I like, it hit me. I was like, holy shit. Like, that's what they mean. Like, you walked out of your car, like, or you crawled out of the
Everything was everywhere.
Everything was just shattered. Like, every airbag was off. My entire door was like in. Like, the front of my car was just everything was damaged. And like, it was so bad. So like, I'm telling you, like, it was just.
Was that like the first start of your realization? Like, yo, it's like literally just head on.
Yeah, I think, I mean, in the middle of it, like, obviously it's like I'm having to like recuperate from this car accident, but it's just like that was the point of my life where I'm like, this shit's not gonna stay the same anymore. Like, you have to just change. And it wasn't until, like, I'm telling you, it wasn't until then, like, I started watching Elevation, and I made it a point. I was like, you're gonna watch church every Sunday. And those Sundays became in between, and I would just start watching, even like in between my patients and stuff when I was working. I would just look up old sermons from like Pastor Steven.
Yeah.
And then I started listening to their worship music, and it just grew. And then they have the end of last year, they have these things where they have watch parties, so you can link up with people within your area that watch Elevation too, and you guys can get together.
Oh wow!
And
I didn't know that.
like watch church together. So I put my email in.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I put my email in, and then I get an email from this lady, my friend that I like meet up with, and she's like, "Hey, I got your information off of
The group.
And I see that you're in my area, live in Bonita." And so we kind of just exchanged numbers. And she was like, it was like, when I talk about God puts people in your life for purposes. Like, she was literally God sent. She was like, I just recently got divorced. And I was like in the middle of my divorce, like in the midst of it. Like,
right.
I was just in the thick of it. So she's like, I recently just got divorced. I attend the Rock Point Loma, and like so did I. So like I would make it a point to watch Elevation at 6 a.m, and I would make it to the Rock at like noon or whatever.
Right.
And she's like, I go to Rock Point Loma. I got your information off Elevation. Like, we should link up, whatever. And I'm like, what the hell? So like everything was like, everything that I was going through in that moment, like that I needed in that specific season of my life, she had answers to. And it was weird. So the first time that I met with her in person, we met at church. And keep in mind, I never met this lady. Never.
No connection, and
nothing.
No mutual friends.
Nothing. Never met her in my life. Never seen her in my life. Like, and I'm thinking, like, ironic that I met her on YouTube. Like, Like out of all freaking
Yeah,
places.
I mean, out of all the millions and millions of subscribers,
Yeah.
and
And like
someone,
Elevation's huge. So I'm like, out
yeah,
of all the people, and like I could have totally ran into her maybe at like The Rock. I probably crossed paths with her at church, but
most
who
likely.
knows? So yeah, like the first time I met her in person, I'm telling you, it was in the thick. I was still in between, like, okay, like what do I do? Like I don't want this divorce. Like I was still confused, so super lost. And she like she brought so much peace
I felt that.
in that moment
Yeah.
when I spoke to her and I met with her. And I will never forget like the words that she said to me. She was like, you have to go. She's like, you need to start taking control over your own life. She's like, you put your problems in God's hands. You say, hey, I'm surrendering it to you. I'm like, she's like, but what you need to do is you go, and she's like, you need to stop. You're stressing yourself out over shit you don't need to be stressing out over. She's like, your husband wants a divorce. Give it to him. And I'm like,
Damn.
yeah,
That's savage.
yeah. And I'm like,
I did not expect that. Hold on.
I was
I
even
thought she was gonna come in like, yo, let's talk to me.
no,
Like, she's like, yo, throw
no,
it at him.
dude. She in the thick of it, man. And like when I needed her, she laid it out for me. She never
Kept it 100.
Yep. She never sugarcoated shit. She was just like, give it to him. And I was like,
But I don't want it.
yeah, exactly. And I
But
told her that. Those were my, I don't want it. And she's like, I know you don't, but you have to let it go. She's like, you have to let it go.
keeping something that you shouldn't.
And it was in that moment where I just felt this like overwhelming sense of like, all right, I got this. Like, I have control over my life now. Like, it was so empowering. And like, I sent a text to like my husband where we weren't together at the time, and I was like, hey, are you at home? I was like, because I need to swing by, and and he was like, yeah, I'm here. I'm like, okay, cool, see you in a little bit. And I swung by. I'm like, can you just give me those divorce papers, because I'm ready to, like, I just need to sign them.
He was not expecting this.
No.
He's like, hold up, what happened?
Yeah. And it was more of a sense of like freedom. And I never myself thought I would ever be able to do that, because you love someone so much. You have someone, you care for them. You have this, you go through like these life lessons with one another and just experiences. And I was just like, oh my God, like I'm losing all this stuff all over again. Like I'm losing again. But then I was like, no, you're not losing. If anything, you're going to gain
Yourself.
myself. Exactly.
Yourself. And that's
And
very important.
I sat there and tears like running down my face, signing those divorce papers. And
You gotta break yourself down to being yourself. Like
yeah, it was that was probably one of the hardest things. And like, I had him across the table and he's crying, and he's like,
he's a man's man.
he's like, this bitch probably moved on or something.
I would have thought that, what? I would have thought this like, yo, something's happening. Those tears are fake.
But I mean, after I left that, and like I just told him, I was like, I love you and this is why I'm doing it. But I love myself more.
That's that's hard to take in.
And it wasn't easy, but I think at that point is where it kind of started to turn around, because I think that he realized me for me.
I got a question. At that, was it hard to express yourself to him and be open like that to him in the moment when you guys were still married?
Oh, 1,000,000%.
Is it because traditionally from our tradition for culture, or just from like past experience from past relationships? Because I mean a lot of those traits come from like trauma from other relationships. Because I mean,
Yeah, I hear what you mean. No,
or just that's how you are personally. Like, you just don't open yourself up.
okay, see, because I'm a very strong-minded person, and I think like that's probably one of my. It's like a curse. It's like a curse, and it's a blessing.
It's straight blessings.
Because I feel like when I need to be strong, I could definitely be strong. But when I need to put that wall down, I don't. I struggle doing it sometimes. And with him, it definitely wasn't anything from my past. I think it was just experiences that we went through where we just kind of like lost trust for one another and
Okay.
just like
It happens.
experiences where
Right.
I'm just like, dude, you know what? Like, I can't be vulnerable to you anymore. And it's, I mean, not just with him, but just in general with just different. I've learned to just who to trust and who not to trust, or who I can come to, and and you
Right.
really do.
That's how I am
You live
too.
and you learn. I'm like, there's not even a handful of people that I can come and just be like, hey, this is what's going on,
Yeah.
and I maybe have like two of those people in my life.
Wow.
But I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, I'm just thankful for all those experiences because I would not be able to be here today and just be like, all right, like you've handled that. When I look back, I'm like, shit,
I
I went through
I try
that.
not to look back.
I mean, yeah, you try not to look back, but I'm like,
It humbles.
sometimes you have to
Yeah,
because
it's
I'm
like
just like,
damn.
damn, like,
You bootstrap, put myself back up. I'm like, okay, if I could get through the darkest days of my life, I mean, the rest of the days are clear. Yeah, I mean, I for sure like. I mean, I was in this. I mean, I wasn't married with my kid's mom, but it was pretty much a marriage without papers and stuff like that. It it was one of the darkest times of my life. You know what I mean? Because one, my family is getting broken up.
yeah,
My kid was so small, and I was just like, "What's going on?" Like I effed up somewhere. I put so much blame on us, and I was just like, I mean, granted, we're not together right now. I mean, we tried, and we just realized it's just like, you know what? When we met each other, we had a kid quick. You know what I mean? And there was, from my point of view, I feel like we just our the way we think about things is not the same.
yeah,
So, like I said, I gained a best friend. Like,
yeah,
at the end of the day, like she's super cool. You know what I
yeah,
mean? She's awesome, awesome girl. She's, hey man, hats off to her. You know what I mean? She's very well spoken.
yeah,
She's very well spoken, a strong, independent mother herself.
yeah,
So in those moments, it's like, yeah, it's like one of those like dark times, and for sure, God did help me a lot. And it's just like to this day, I was just like, she even said it herself, like, yo, you were a whole different person. Cause like she saw me a version of myself, and she didn't like.
yeah,
And then I was just like, and I found him, and then she was like, yo, what happened to you? I was like, I just gave up, dude. I was just like, yo,
yeah,
like I just gave myself to him.
yeah,
And she was like, yo, you're like a whole different person. And I was like, yeah, dude, like because I'm happy, you know what I mean? I was just like, oh, I was like, I mean, we had a kid so fast, you know what I mean? But I mean, such a blessing, such a great, amazing little girl. It's just like I feel like sometimes we lose each other. I lost myself, and I gained a new version of myself with him. And she even saw herself too. And then, you know what I mean? Shouts to her. She's part of the Rock Financial Group. You know
oh,
what I
that's
mean?
awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Damn, should I put that up? Hold on, let me pin that 112. She's part of the Point Loma rock group herself, and it's super cool that like you said, man, like you God puts us in front of each other, because I needed that day. Like when you text me, like yo, like, I even called my kid's mom, like yo, like is it cool if I talk to your friend and shit? Because like I don't know, like I know you guys are all friends and stuff, but like this is the way it came about. Like yo,
No,
like
yeah,
she
it's
like
respectful. Yeah.
it's all vibes here, but like yo, I low key needed that, because I was we go through waves and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and I was going through a big one that day, and I was like, yo, I was losing my image a little bit. I was like, yo, like what's going on? Everything was hitting me all at once, and then you just hit me with the message, and I was like a weight was lifted off my shoulder. You know what I mean? Because one, I didn't know you personally, and that's the best connection. Someone
Yeah.
that doesn't know you personally, because I feel like if someone knows you, they're gonna say all the right words.
Yeah.
But
They're gonna feed you what you want to hear.
yeah, so like I didn't know you, so I was like, yo, that's dope. And then you told me like, yo, so it's, and I ran to my kids like, yo, I'm gonna do a church group thing, and I was like, I'm excited, and she was like, that's good. You've been trying to do one for like so
Yeah.
long. So I'm excited. I mean, I'm just waiting. Good, like let me know when
Yeah.
let me know when that gets started, because I'm all for it. Whatever you need, I'm here. But on your last group, what how many people were in it? Like, you know what I mean?
So it was a group of 8 women, and Yeah, it was
Men and women, or just
no, this was strictly just I mean, it wasn't strictly, but we were just all girls.
right?
And we started in the book that was my first time in a Bible study group. So I was kind of like, okay, like
How do I approach this?
how do I like should I read I didn't even know. I'm like, what do I do?
You went off the cuff.
Yes. I'm like, what if they ask me something and I don't know?
The answers are right there. You just gotta dive in.
But no, honestly, it was awesome. And then I kind of the reason I wanted to start my own was because I felt like it got really like a little too programmy, where it was like the leader just kind of had too much of an agenda. Like she was a teacher, so like it was just like, okay, well, this is what we're gonna do and this is what we're gonna do, and I'm like, okay, like
It wasn't intimate.
I'm a very exactly. See, I'm a very intimate and very personal person.
Right.
So when it started, because at first we were four of us,
Okay.
and then these other four women came along, which awesome. The more the merrier, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
that wasn't the issue. I think she just felt like she had to have this type of agenda. I don't know, maybe because she was the teacher in, her personal life or whatever, but it just didn't become personal.
You didn't feel the connection. It
I
was
didn't.
just very robotic.
Yes.
Very just like, oh, I'm here and let's read and let's
Yes.
go home.
Yeah. And to me, that's not what I want. I want something personal. I
Want to gain friends.
I want a group. Yeah. I want a group where we can just like all dig deep and we're all with the same purpose. We want a deeper connection and deeper relationship with God. And it's funny because like maybe the last week and a half, I've just like felt so off. Or I'm just like, oh, like,
Right.
And I get so mad because I'm like, and then I tell, like, I pray every morning. I'm like, thank you for the air in my lungs. Thank you for waking me up. Thank you for my family. Thank you for my job. Let's go.
It's been an off week, right? Like, is it me or you?
No, I've been so off that I don't know. Like, I'm just like, I even tell, like, when I pray, I'm like, my relationship with you is so off and I can feel it. Like, and I'm going to get back. Like, I'm going to get back. And I try to, but like,
We're not perfect.
no.
We're not perfect. And
No.
I'll tell you this right now, I am far from perfect. But
Same.
I give everything I got. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Regardless if it's with myself, my kids,
Mm-hmm.
kid, you know what I mean? And with reading and with, but I always give it, as long as you give it that acknowledgement to him, to him, you don't have, I feel like to him, you don't have to like do this big charade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as you have him in your heart.
I think for me, it's because like I know my potential.
Yeah, I know you have way more to, because you have so much energy.
Yeah, there's been times where I've like cried when I'm praying, like because I'm either emotional or like I can just feel it,
Yeah.
rather than when I'm like, okay, thank you for waking me up today. I gotta get going. Let me brush my hair in the midst of me like praying, like.
You're just rushing it, just
Yes.
just run through it.
And I hate doing that, but I'm like, okay, even if I say, thank you for waking me up, and even throughout my day, like whether I'm listening to worship music, whether it's like, and before I go to bed, like even if it's the smallest, I'm like, I have to acknowledge that, and I even make my son pray, and I just try to make it a point that these are habits, like because growing up, like I didn't really pray with my mom. I didn't really pray before I ate or certain things like
Yeah.
that. And, you were talking about like growing up and stuff. I feel like we have these like generational curses.
Yeah,
And I know it sucks to say it like that because like our parents, that's what it is. It's a generational curse. Like they got it from they inherited it, and
they're
like
going off what they learned.
exactly.
And then especially if, my parents came from Mexico and a little bit upbringing. It was a little bit more rougher than how I was brought up. But at the end of the day, I mean, we just got to push away from that.
Yeah.
Because like I still hear a little bit of traditional opinions, and I was like, I hear a lot of it. I was like, dude, we're in 2020, bro. Like,
Yeah.
we just gotta adjust the.
I've even had a moment with my mom, and I'm like, where I kind of had to like bring it to light for her. I'm like, look, I inherited certain behaviors that you have, that I can't like
Shake off.
stand. Like I can't stand you for these behaviors that I have. Like I love you, but I know that you don't know any better because that's what you were taught. And I need to let you know here right now that those behaviors are not okay anymore. Like you
Yeah.
got to shake them off. I don't care if you're however old you are. Like
It's tougher for.
enough is enough. And like, she sometimes understands it, sometimes doesn't, but I'm like, you know what? At this point in my life, like, especially within the last couple of weeks, maybe a couple months, I want to say, I've had to implement boundaries with a lot of people.
Really? Yo, I am king boundaries. I don't mess with nobody. Like, well, obviously you don't know me, but I am a person that don't like people in my life. As far as I, I, you never hear me in drama. My family, I stay away from people because I don't have time. So I don't got time for drama. I don't. My parents like respect me, my time, and I set boundaries. I was like, yo, you can't get into my personal life, my relationship life, my work life, my company. Like, yo, like I set boundaries for
Yeah.
everybody because
It's important for yourself.
yeah, because I know how I am, and I'm very vocal. And trust me, I'm gonna keep it 100 with everybody. And
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
how
of
I
people,
am.
a lot of people can handle it.
Yeah.
So I was just like, they don't even come to me about what's anything. They're like, nah. Like, especially all my cousins that are girls, like, oh, you could talk to me, but I'm gonna call you out.
Yeah.
Like, you, at the end of the day, you ain't shit. So calm your eyes down. Walk over there, because don't come with me that. I was like, no, like, cause like, no, like y'all fighting off some dumb shit.
Yeah.
My bad for my language, but y'all just fighting over some. Honestly, like, first of all, y'all got kids. You know what I mean? You're like consuming. Your mind's consuming of all
Yeah.
this negative stuff that you guys have. Do just so focused on this, and your kids are over here. You know what I mean? Like, or like, I know a lot of parents that are just like they're so consumed with like social media or something like that. I was
Yeah.
like, yo, I ain't got time. Even though my social media is like so like about my, that's why I took a lot of that stuff down because the world's weird right now.
Too weird.
I was just like, I saw some things and just like, yo, delete.
Dude, I had to do that too. I was like, I'm gonna like just delete my Instagram for a hot minute until this is
That's
all
one of the hardest things I haven't come to.
until this is all over. And here we are, like
2020
8 months later, like into this. But I mean, you know what? I feel
boundaries,
like
but boundaries is so important.
boundaries, even the simplicity of like social media, that's a boundary for yourself.
Yeah,
Hey,
I have an addiction with social media.
I only have Instagram,
I got
and that's it.
I got 3 Instagrams and a Twitter, and
You're
I got,
busy.
I got TikTok. I'm TikToking.
Yeah, but I feel like if you don't implement those boundaries, and most importantly, respect those boundaries,
Even with your partner, you have to have boundaries.
100%. And even with your kids, I mean, you can have boundaries for your dog, like anyone, you know what I mean? Like,
You can't talk to me like that.
but no, like I was reading this, or I'll send you these like videos because
Send him. I love it.
it's a pastor, like his name's Jeremy Foster. He's like went into this series about boundaries.
Really, I love it.
Such
Send
a
it.
good series.
Send it.
have to.
I'm all for it. I'm all for the growth of my mind. That's why one of the reasons why I love this podcast is because I love people's mentality, the mental state where everybody's at. Yours is different from mine. I want to pick your brain. I want to pick mine because you're different from mine, and the way you cope about things, the way you move, or the way you think is so different from mine. I could learn something from you.
Yeah.
That's why I like to talk to people. That's why I talk to my co-host, even though she's a little off the cuff sometimes. She's everywhere. I love her so
She's
much.
cool.
She's cool. She's all vibes. But I mean, yeah, granted, she's super young.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's a connection there. But for sure, I love your mindset. You're so well spoken.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, we both come from the pits of hell, of darkness, and we rose from it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And not a lot of people could do that.
No.
A lot of people stay there,
Yeah.
and I'm happy that you got yourself out of that because I felt in those that I've been in that dark room before,
Yeah.
and it's not.
It sucks.
It's I for sure, like, it took me so long to tell myself I was depressed at that moment. I was like, I was just chilling. Yeah,
Yeah, because you don't. It's not that I don't think that you want to tell yourself you're depressed. or like that you're struggling with something. I just don't think people realize
What it is.
what it is.
Right.
Like even recently, um, like I thought I was stressed out with work, and then I realized I'm like, wait, this behavior is not healthy. I would like come home and I like just want to sit in the shower. Like I didn't want to be around my husband. I didn't want to be around my son. Like after a long shift, I was like, I don't want to be around anyone. I just want to sit in the dark. I want to be by myself. Like don't talk to me. I just want to go to sleep, go to work, and then come out home and do the same thing. And I was like, no. And then it just got to this thing where like
It became a pattern constantly.
it was a pattern of wanting to be alone, and then it became like really bad anxiety, like to a point where like I was having like hives, like I can even feel my anxiety coming on.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, like I need to get a hold of this, like this. And like I said, in the thick of it, we go through different things, but you need to be honest with what you are. And I was like, okay, yeah, like you're depressed. Like
Yeah.
you're depressed. Like think about it. You're in the middle of a pandemic. You're working your ass off. You're not home as much as you'd like to be. And I would feel bad because like even sometimes now my son's like, do you really have to go to work? Like you should stay home with me.
Those are the worst.
And I'm like, I would love to stay home with you, but
Yeah.
you asked for too much.
Correct. I'm dead.
You know, but no, it's like, it's certain things like that, but like you really do have to be honest with yourself. Like I'm struggling with anxiety. Like I've gone to therapy, and
I've never been to therapy.
honestly, I feel like it's always like frowned upon to go to therapy. Go to therapy. I encourage it. Go to therapy. It does not make you crazy.
No,
go
of
to
course
therapy.
not. I come from very traditional. Like, the traditional is like, why are you gonna throw your money away? Like they're just gonna nod their head and just tell you, are you okay? That's I've never been to therapy. You know what I mean? I'm all open to it. You know what I mean? Couples therapy. I mean, whatever therapy. I just never know. I never attempted it. I'm always open to it. But for sure, what you were saying about the whole depression and anxiety, I can't say I felt like I had anxiety because I don't know. I don't know how that feels. I mean, maybe I have, maybe I don't. You know what I mean? I don't know. But for sure, I could talk about the depression part. Like it took me like a lot recently, just like probably like the last year. I was like, yo, I was really depressed. I was doing some goofy stuff. I was like, yeah, I was just like, I was willing to go so far and harm myself or something like that, or just like, it's just like, I was really depressed. And like, and in that moment, I was like, I try to talk to people, and I've talked to this on my last podcast, a couple podcasts ago. I was like, but nobody never understood. You could tell the like key, like everything to the T, and they could tell you all the right words, and just like it's not enough.
Yeah.
And then
It's not sufficient.
yeah,
Or I would always feel like they just didn't understand.
and at the time I was 24. You know what I mean? I was just like 24 is getting divorced. Who in the world is getting divorced at 24? I don't know.
You?
Apparently I was.
You were setting trends.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. And I had no friends going through that.
Yeah.
I had my sisters were so small. I mean, who am I gonna open up to?
And honestly, in moments like that is when you realize who your true friends are. You really do.
Yeah, I would tell them, I was like, bro, F it, let's walk this hookah ball. I was like, yeah, sure, let's whatever. I was just F that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but in reality, I was crying for help.
Yeah. It's because internally you're like superficially you're like, okay, anything to cope in that moment, but like internally you're struggling. You, like you said, like you're struggling inside. So it's like, okay, for the time being, I'm doing this. I'm hanging out with my friends. So it's like I'm okay for that moment. But when I'm by myself, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Because I used to feel like that too. I would just go and I would distract myself and,
Work.
like I would work or like, and then it wasn't until I made that decision. I'm like, no, dude, like you can't, this isn't a life to live anymore.
Heck no.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to hustle. I'm going to, start working out. And it was like, it went from me like working out maybe twice a week. And I was just like, no, I was there every day, sometimes 3 times at that studio, just like getting it. And I was like,
Heck yeah.
I was like, what, like, who am I? I'm like, who am I? And then I'd go home and like, I just started finding myself and like, I devoted all my time to healing, and now I'm just at a point where I'm like, okay, like I'm so aware of certain behaviors and certain patterns that I want to put my voice out there. I want to help people in any way that I can. I want to, whether it's spreading, even the smallest thing, like I make it a point now when I like go into patients to see my patients, I'm like, okay, like, God bless you. And they're kind of like, did she really just say that? And I'm like, like, yeah.
Because a lot of people don't expect that.
Exactly.
Especially in generation now. I make it a point to, where I work, I say have a blessed day. They're like, what? Like, I mean, like you said, like, I was like, oh yeah, sure. Even male, women, it don't matter who it is. Have a blessed day, sir, ma'am. Sir, ma'am, I always address them, properly. And then they're like, you too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're so thrown off.
Yeah, and it just like, just saying that could like probably just potentially just like, yo, and then it just makes a relationship like, yo, he's, I mean, it's slowly, but and a lot of people where I work at just like slowly, like next time I come around, they're more chipper.
Open,
yeah, they're more chipper and stuff like that. Have you ever thought about doing a podcast yourself?
Well, I told you, yeah, I did. I wanted to start one like pretty much on like mental health, and I just wanted it to be like kind of like an open mic, like you just talk and you BS with all different stuff, but especially mental health and emotional health. I feel like there's too many people struggling right now.
Yes.
Not just because of this pandemic, but just in general.
Right.
And I mean, I don't have so much experience, but I mean, I have
a lot of mental experience.
Enough.
And enough is all it takes. So, I mean, I'm all for it. I'm here to help you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, anything you want. If you want to, I'm willing to extend myself and my equipment. If you want to just come on here and just talk about whatever you have on that.
I have to pick your brain on.
Yeah, just pick like, until you. I mean, hey, if you're looking for another coach, I got like 2 podcasts. I'm ready to do a third one.
What's the third one, right?
The third one's like, because I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. You know what I mean? It's a passion. You know what I mean? I have a lot of hobbies.
And it's weird because I feel like this is like therapeutic in a way.
It is.
Like
it is. It is because it just reminds all the stuff that you have in your head. Just stuff like you tell yourself, you manifest it through the mics and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you're helping.
I should just get one in my car because I drive around for work, and like the majority of the time I'm like talking to myself. I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
And I was like actually telling my husband that. I was like, dude, I'm like, I'm going to get some cameras for this house. I'm all, because half of the shit that goes down in this house, I'm all, it's too funny. I'm all, and
yo, that mouse part, yo. Yo, I was like, how does this mouse literally jump all over the
we were a circus, dude.
Yo, I was waiting for the updates. I was like, yo, I'm here for this mouse. You know what you guys look like? Have you seen the movie Mouse Hunt?
Yeah. Oh my God. I showed my husband that movie. I'm like, have you ever seen the movie Mouse Hunt? I'm all, because that's what we are. He's all, I've never seen that movie. I'm like, we're watching it tonight. And I shit you not, we're watching that movie. We put my son down, so we're still watching the movie. And we had the Ring doorbell, and sure enough, it's like out and about. It's like it owned the house. Like it was just like we were still up, the lights are still on. I'm like, this damn mouse didn't even wait for us to go to sleep now. He's getting brave.
Yeah, that was funny. I was like, yo, she really has a mouse running around.
Yeah.
I'm dead. I would not sleep.
Dude. It was.
Imagine if it just.
Oh, fuck. I would have burned the house down, dude.
Oh, no. But yeah, I mean, if you honestly, if you want to do a podcast, I'm all for it. I support it 100%.
Sweet.
Dude, if you want to come in any day of the week, if you got something to say, just let me know. We can schedule it in. I'm all for it, dude, because I feel like you have an amazing voice for the microphones you do. I was like, at one point, I was just looking at you because I was like, yo, this is deep. You know what I mean? It's gravitating, you know what I mean? And you have a lot to say. You know what I mean? Dude, obviously, you could do it with your husband. You know, potentially. I don't know if that's something that he would want.
No, I mean, we've talked about it too.
Because I've only had one interaction with him.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome guy. Yeah, dude. Like, I think you guys. I think his personality and your personality, I think it was just like vibe.
I mean, we've been together for 9 years, so I'd hope we vibe.
No, but yeah, I hope so too. But when it comes to a podcast, you just have to be like very like okay with what you guys are saying.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get personal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think that's what happens sometimes. Like, you guys are open about each other's personal life because it gets personal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I talk about my personal life. Trust me, I'll probably break a couple hearts today. I've talked about some things, especially with my kid's mom and stuff like that, because I talk about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then for sure, those was one of those like things that I always tell everybody, yo, if you hear it, don't take it personal. It's because it's something positive and it's something amazing.
Yeah.
And you don't hear a lot of single dads talk about their partners like that.
No.
Yeah.
I have to give you guys kudos because at one point, I mean, like, I know my husband's going to hear this later, but and he'll like testify with me, but like, we just did not get along.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's hard.
I had
it's
to blame.
hard.
Yo, I felt like, yeah.
So to see that and hear that you guys are like, got a friendship out of it, like that's awesome.
At one point, yo, it's just like we wanted around each other's cars and with each other. It was just like we couldn't stand the sight.
Yeah.
I couldn't see her. I was just like, yo, she has an agenda. You know what I mean? She has an agenda or something. Like, it's just because
I know that exact feeling.
From past experiences from my childhood, because dude, my mom was crazy. She was smashing windows and stuff. You know what I mean? You're like, she's a crazy Latina, and so she's like, yo, we're gonna go to your dad's house. We're gonna smash his windows. We're gonna leave. I'm like, what? Like,
You're on the car seat.
I'm in the car seat.
She's like, grab the brick.
I'm like, I'm just like, sorry, Dad. I'm texting him like, bro, like, yo, your car's just got smashed in. I'm sorry. And he's like,
my God.
And my dad's and the way I am the way I am is just like, my dad's like, well, it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, never bash my mom. He's just like, yo, that's just let it happen. Yeah, I mean, I'm not tripping. Yeah, I mean, we'll fix it. And he's like, all right.
I've gotten crazy a couple of times.
And we all got crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we but it just does not get too crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, for sure, there was it had to get bad to get good.
Yeah. No, 100%.
It had to get bad to get good, and then we laugh about it now. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, I mean, we were crazy. You know what I mean? It's just like, but it was all about we weren't up here. We were more. We weren't thinking about it in our heads. We were talking about like we're just it was emotional reactions, not like a thought out reaction. It was just like it was very selfish about how we were doing, and we were like not focusing on what was important. That was the kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we at one point we realized that's like, dude, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Even her, like when you were saying like so much bad stuff was happening, like her appendix bursted because she was so stressed out. You know what I mean? I was like, look, there you go. You're over tripping and shit. You're blown from the inside and stuff.
Oh my God.
And I told her, I was like, she told me like, yo, like I didn't even know until like she got out of the hospital and then she had a big old cut in her stomach. I'm like, what happened?
Insane, man.
And I was like, what? And the first thing that came to me, I'm like, why didn't you call me? Regardless of all the crap we were going, I'm like, why didn't you call me? It's like, dude, like I could like F everything on the side. It's like, yo, that's my kid's mom.
Yeah.
Like regardless of what the situation, you know what I mean? Like I'm not. The situation was like, yo, I'm not a dick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yo, what was going on? Like, you're like, oh, I just didn't, dude. Like, what's up? Like,
Yeah.
you could have really died or something like that. I don't know how the severity was. It, you know what I mean? But like, and from my end, I was losing so much weight. I was declining from my health and stuff. I wasn't eating. I was eating probably like once a week. You know what I mean? I was nothing but Red Bulls and cigarettes and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, it was just all bad. And then just like we realized, like, yo, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's all vibes. But yeah, dude, I mean, any day of the week you want to come through, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? Maybe you could bring your husband in next time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all three could shoot the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did he say when you were coming? You were gonna come here.
No,
That's why I was like,
he was supportive.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. And I was thinking about, I think we should go to her house because I don't want to make it seem like it's some weird shit.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know the man too, so I was just like, I mean, I'm willing to adjust.
No, yeah.
So
No. He was totally chill and supportive.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. For sure. You got anything else to say?
No, thank you.
Do you want to pick my brain a little bit? I got lots to say. I'm always cooking something.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. From the last book of podcast, we talked about so much stuff, narcissistic boyfriends and stuff like that. That one was a hitter. For a lot of our viewers.
I think a lot of people should learn what a narcissist is.
A lot of people don't know what it is, and they are.
Yeah.
They're like,
Sometimes I'm like, am I a narcissist? Am I?
That was very
Is it
that
me?
was very toxic of me, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
It
And then
just-
I'm like, no, you called yourself out. You're okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just kidding.
We gotta realize some of those things. Are, damn, you know what I mean? Like you gotta read it, identify if you are or not, and if you are, fix it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
Don't
agree.
don't be like naive about things. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, because one, I'm not perfect. You know
No
what I
one's
mean?
perfect.
So I'm far from perfect, but I work on myself every day. I tell myself, like you said, I do tell myself I love myself every day.
Yeah.
I land at me, I'm like, yo, what's up, bro? You good? All right, cool. And then just push on forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do catch myself sometimes, like, you know what I mean? Like praying and stuff like that, and like dancing and stuff like that. It's just like, it just catches me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like very heavy. It just grabs. I feel like it's just like the closeness of my, because I feel like I'm not a crier, but I feel it in my throat. You know what I mean? But I always calm that guy down and stuff like that. Because the last thing you want to see is just a guy in the truck crying and stuff like
Driving
that.
that.
It's
What's up with this
like,
guy?
yeah, I was like, I don't think he should be driving behind the wheel right now. But yeah, I'm very excited that you came on. To be honest.
Yeah. Thank you
Yes.
for having me.
And then for the church group, we'll talk about it after.
Yeah.
I just want to give a quick shout out to all our listeners. Thanks for Max for coming on.
Thanks
I
for
appreciate
having
it. It's a whole vibe. A third podcast is about to come through. I'm about to have like 8 podcasts by the end of the year. Nah, but
Hey, you did not waste your COVID time.
I did not. I picked up so many hobbies during
That's
COVID.
awesome.
I picked up this podcast. Well, I normally record it, but I haven't pulled the camera out. You know what I mean? Because it's a pain
Yeah.
sometimes. But yeah, for sure, podcasting is one of the biggest things that I've loved to pick up.
That's
But-
awesome.
All right, guys, thank you for listening. This is the Trigger Recipe and On the 7th podcast. And yes, you will get your regular Thursday podcast. This episode will be released tomorrow. And shout outs to everybody. And thank you and good night and God bless.
Bye.
Bye.